So you build them out, and they're the exact same as you would build out a chat flow. So nothing is different. In this case here, I'm evaluating a schedule, I'm sending a response, then I'm calling a bot flow, and then screen pop and transfer to ACD. So it really becomes very simple. The same way that you build chat flows, you build messaging flows. So as a administrator, you would go to administration. And again, depending on roles and permissions of what you've been assigned, you have 3 new fields that are available to you to select under message. So threading timeline is new, and this is where you can determine how long that conversation exists or how long it's going to be relevant to the customer. So in this case here, for demo purposes, I've got it set at 30 minutes. So if I were to have a conversation, the conversation were to drop, 5 minutes later, I come back in, it's still there. That conversation is remembered. If I come back at 60 minutes, that conversation is going to start new all over again. So it's a matter of you determining best practices for your business. What is it? Do you want to change that to 90 minutes, or do you want to change that to whatever 1,000 minutes works out to? It's just a matter of changing those parameters. 16 hours and save that information. So it's very simple. Within that field, you can also change those timers for SMS, Twitter, Facebook, line messaging. So this is a fairly new threading timeline, and that again is added through roles and permissions. So as to the deployment of these web messaging, you would go in and create a new deployment. So you would click in here, you would give it a name, typical name, description, and then the status, whether or not it's enabled or not. Because you can have several different deployments built out, really depending on your purposes. Again, like whether it's Mother's Day, Thanksgiving Day, which it is down in the US today. So you could have build out different deployments and configurations and then flip them and turn them on the fly. So in this case here, I'm using version 9. Again, that's versioning, so I'm able to go and select a version. If this one had some bugs in it, I could go back to version 8 really very quickly. You can also select which domains to have your web messaging active on. So you may have sub-pages within your domain that you want a different response, maybe going into the service center. You would have a different response to maybe your retail side. So you can build out different configurations and deployments based on your web page and pages. This is where you select your architectural flow. So in this case here, I'm pointing to architect and I'm pointing into the message flow. So I would select MB demo days as my flow. And then as far as what code, as we talk about, there's no code needs to be built. Right here is the code that once you filled out all the information, this builds the code out for you. So you would take this, copy it to the clipboard, send that off to your IT supervisor or whoever manages your web page. So you'd also configure the system itself as well. There's a second part. You do the deployment and you do the configuration. And then again, same thing, web messaging, web demo days. As far as apps go, you can turn on or off the ability to share images. You may not want to be able to do that, or you can also turn on and off predictive engagement. Again, you have different versions that you have available to you, and then with the appearance, you can make that button always show. You can hide it so it's never there, or you can have it triggered by business logic, which is predictive engagement. So in the case of if a customer has been on a page for 10 minutes, or maybe they've hit a certain pages and they're clicking on maybe service, we can at that point you could push content to them, whether it's a proactive chat. Hi, I see you're on careers. Are you interested in working for i3 Vision? Or I see that you're on services. Can we help you get some information on an existing ticket? So all of those things can be triggered, so you don't have to have that always there. You can turn it on and off as you wish. As far as the coloring goes, you click on your color. So if you look up on the right-hand side, you can drag this across. And so you can, again, select the colors that you think best fit your existing web page. You can also have the languages. This is where I talked about it. It recognizes the language of the page that you're jumping in on. So in this case here, I may be talking English and French. And then you pick your language of choice. If we pick French, you can see that all of a sudden the notification on the right side here changed to French. This portion here would be filled in by your messaging, and you would have to build out that content yourself, putting in the language and language versioning.